Hey, does anybody have a good rain dance? If so, it's about time to get your freak on. Rain is essential for crop production. Plants such as corn, soybeans, and alfalfa need a good balance of rain and sunlight for proper growth to occur. According to Peter Wiersbe and Michael Fletcher, author of Drought is Worse in Half a Century, which was released July 16, 2012, the Corn Belt and more than half of the United States experiencing a drought with conditions not seen in more than 50 years, the government reported Monday, jacking up crop prices and threatening to drive up the cost of food. I've been involved with agriculture my entire life. Growing up, we've raised corn, soybeans, and alfalfa. In my younger days, we raised hogs, in addition to crops, which is always a concern, keeping them cool and praying for a little rain during the summer. Over the years, I've never witnessed a summer as hot or as dry as this year. Though not everyone may realize, drought affects more than just the crop sector of agriculture. The time we have together, we will discuss some of the ways this year's drought is affecting agriculture. I would like to touch on the topics of crop conditions, grain prices, and the overall food supply. Let's begin our analysis of the drought effects. First off, let's discuss the current crop situation. Excessive heat and lack of rain is not only harming overall plant health, but it will inevitably result in lower yields. According to Joshua Zumbrum and Mark Dajum, authors of Worst Generation Drought Dims U.S. Farm Economy Hopes, which was released July 16th, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has declared a natural disaster, the largest ever, in over 26 states and 1,000 counties. As mentioned in recent USDA reports, the U.S. was estimated to produce the largest corn crop in history based on total planted acres. It has now become evident that some of those acres may not produce a crop at all. The estimated corn production has been decreased by 1.82 billion bushels. The average expected corn yield has been reduced to 146 bushels per acre. Only about 30% of the country's corn crop is rated in good condition. Though soybeans have been tolerating the heat better than corn, the extended period of drought is becoming a worry. Recent reports state that about 50% of the Midwest soybeans are rated poor to very poor condition. In normal years, farmers use irrigation to supplement natural rainfall. Average rainfall for northeast Nebraska is a little over 3 inches. Even though some places have been fortunate to get a small percentage of this, others have not seen rain since May. Those fortunate enough to have irrigation are doing all they can to keep the crops alive. Those not so fortunate are forced to watch their crops deteriorate and pray for rain. Irrigation during the drought can be the difference between having a crop or not. However, the added cost of running irrigation as much as possible have some farmers wondering if it is truly worthwhile. Are the high costs of fuel and electricity really worth it, or are the crops beyond saving? The fact that there is no subsoil moisture is making it impossible for irrigation to even catch up with the lack of rain. According to Carl Plume's article, Nebraska farms ordered to halt irrigation amid drought in the July 16th issue of the Chicago Tribune. Nebraska farmers are being told to stop irrigating their fields. The drought and excessive pumping is causing wells and even some rivers to run dry. This order comes from the Nebraska Department of Natural Resources. So as we've just learned, the recent drought is causing crops to deteriorate, which is creating an all-out nightmare for farmers. Now that we know a little about crop conditions, next let's see how those conditions are directly affecting grain prices. Grain prices have skyrocketed in the recent months. According to Peter Wiersbe and Michael Fletcher of the Washington Post, corn prices have risen over 50% to near $8 a bushel. Current soybean prices are over $16 a bushel in some locations. Price increases are caused simply by supply and demand. The estimated bushels per acre of production are drastically dropping off, therefore the price is increasing. The price increases are beneficial for anyone looking to sell last year's grain, but devastating for those who need to purchase grain. So as we've discussed, the grain prices are directly affected by supply and demand. The outrageous decrease in estimated supply is causing higher than normal prices. With the current situation, we may possibly see a rise in gas and food prices. For my final point, I would like to discuss how the previously mentioned declining crop conditions and increasing grain prices are causing concern for those in the livestock industry and the overall food market. Livestock producers and the overall food supply are at risk. Excessively dry times are resulting in a shortage of forage crops such as hay and grass. Forage supplies have become so low that many producers are beginning to cut ditches for hay and corn for silage. Peter Wiersbe and Michael Fletcher of the Washington Post state in their July 16th article, Drought in the U.S. reaching levels not seen in 50 years, pushing up crop prices, that the rising corn prices mean higher costs for beef producers because their feed costs will rise. The shortage of hay has caused the price to jump to nearly $300 a ton. Don't be alarmed to see food prices rise, as in any market, supply and demand is the cause of increased food prices. The less food that is being produced, the higher the prices will be. Some livestock producers are going as far as to begin selling off their animals. With the feed costs getting so out of hand, some producers are finding it no longer feasible to keep their animals. With the increased cost involved with raising livestock, we should brace ourselves to see higher costs in the meat department of the local grocery stores. In our most recent topic, we touched on a few ways how the livestock producer as well as the end consumer are being affected by crop conditions and the increase in grain prices. Now that we have learned some major effects of the drought, let's recap. In the time we've shared together, I have touched on ways how the current drought is affecting crop conditions, grain and commodity prices, as well as the livestock and overall food supply portions of agriculture. You can do us all a favor by praying that we receive some relief from this drought soon. We all like to eat, right? Just remember that without agriculture, we wouldn't have the food we eat. And one more thing, if you've been waiting for just the right time to break out some awesome dance moves, please get off your butt and bust a move.